Welcome back. In this lecture, we are going to implement authentication and everything that is related to authentication, like login page, sign up page, and implementing the comment form that is totally depending on the current user who has logged in your website. And then finally, we need to implement the route protection by using Angular guards. We will be creating the auth guard that will be protecting all of the sensitive routes that should be protected and should not be visible to public. If anybody tries to access the private routes like admin panel, our application would immediately check if that user has logged in or not. If not, then it will redirect that user to the login page. Okay, so let's begin from the building the login page. So in the header, if user is not logged in, then on the right side we can add the login button. Okay, so if user clicks on that, it will take you to the login page, and on the login page we will have the option to sign up or recover your forgotten password. Okay, so let's begin. So in your VS Code, go to the front end project and go to the header component.html, and I am talking about the header in the public, not in the admin. Okay, so here let's add a div like this, and here you can just add the a tag as well, that is also fine. Okay, I have added the login button. You can improve the design of this button to make it a CTA, that is call to action, if you want to. So let's quickly add some styles. Okay, I added some styles like background blue, text white, horizontal padding 4, vertical padding 2, rounded corners, and on hover it will change the color. Added some transition to add some animation effect on background color change, and the timing would be 200 milliseconds. Okay, now test it. So this is looking much better. And now if you click on the login button, it should take us to the login page. Currently, the login route is not implemented, so let's do that. Go to the public routes, and as these login and register pages are the public pages, so we will be adding the routes inside the public routing file. So let's do that. In the children section, I will add another route object with the property path, and it will take us to the auth/login. Okay, and here I will add, let me check the folder auth. So we have the entire module and separate routing file for the auth. So we don't need to specify the /login here. You just specify the prefix of your route, that is auth, and here I will add load children that will lazily load the entire auth module for us. Okay, in this way. So now simply go to the auth routing module, and here we will add our first route with the path/login, and the component would be the login component. So if we open the login folder, we have only component. So let's quickly import the login component in this way, save it. Okay, now let's manually try to access it, /auth/login. Okay, now we can access the login component. Okay, so another thing that I am thinking we should do is that currently, as this login component is being loaded inside the public folder, that's why there is a header, but normally there is not any header in the login pages. You can keep it as it is if you want to, or you can move the auth route from here to the root level routes file, that is app.routes. So here just add it in this way. Okay, and here we have to fix the path in this way. Okay, great. Now let's test it. Here I will add auth login. Okay, now it is working, but currently there is no style from the public. So I would like to add some specific base styles that would be applied for all of the pages that are related to the auth, or that would be child of the auth module. So for that, go to the public features, and here I would like to generate a new component that is dedicated to the auth. So for that, open a terminal in the auth directory, and here I will run the command ng generate c auth and flat, because I don't want to create a separate auth folder for the component. Okay, great. The component has been created. Now, in the auth routing, instead of loading the login component directly, I would like to use a main route that would be the parent. So component would be the auth component in this case, and we will be loading the child routes within this component with the help of the router outlet. So let's go to the auth component. Here I will add the router outlet. I don't see any suggestion for the router outlet in this component. The reason is that the router module is not imported yet. So let's go to the auth component.ts, and then in the imports array I will add router module in this way. After that, this router outlet is available for us to use. Save it. Now we can, whatever styles are base common things we will add here would be available for all of these pages: forgot password, login, register and reset password, etc. Okay, so let's wrap it inside a div, and here I will add some classes of Tailwind CSS like flex, width, full, and height would be equal to the height of our screen. And let's add the background color BG gray of 200 shade. All right, now let's go to the login component, and here I will create my form, and within that we will add our input fields and buttons. So first of all, we will add a div, and then we will have a label email, and we will have the input for the email with the type email, name email, and placeholder email. And then I will add another div with the label and input for the password. Let's close this div. Now we need a submit button that would have the text login in it. So this is what we have so far. So let's fix it. Here I will give it a class card, and we will style this class in our global file for the auth related components, that is auth component.scss. Here I will use the deep pseudo selector that will let us to apply the styles within the child components as well. Otherwise, we are using shadow DOM, so whatever style you will add here would not be applied to the child components. But if you want to forcefully pass your styles to all of the child components as well, you should use the deep selector here. So let's add the class card, and here I will add the apply to use the Tailwind CSS classes here, and we will add other classes. Okay, I was doing a mistake here. Instead of using this deep, we should use ng-deep. Okay, now it will work. So I added this background color just for testing. Let me remove it. Okay, so you can see the background white is implemented and everything is looking great so far. Now we need to bring everything in the middle. For that, here I will add some Tailwind CSS classes, like width should be maybe 400 pixels, and let me add actually let's do one thing. In the parent auth component.html, here I will add the justify center and item center to bring everything in the middle. Okay, you can remove the item center but add the padding top, like pt should be 96 is too much, so let me use 52. Okay, I think this is fine. Now we need to update the styling for our form field. So for that, go back to the auth component.scss. As I'm using SCSS, so I can add the nested selectors like this. So inside the card, we have the label. So label has the text gray 700, and it should be block level so that it could push the inputs below it. Okay, I have added the text small and font bold and margin bottom too. And now let me add the input styles. So I have added shadow, appearance none, border rounded for the border radius, width full, vertical padding of 2, horizontal padding of 3, text gray 700 shade, leading tight, and on focus there should not be outline, and on focus we will show the shadow outline. Currently border is not visible, so we have to add border solid, and border color should be gray. It is saying that shadow outline is not available, so let's quickly remove it. Okay, Alright, now I think it is looking much better. We can add margin bottom. So go to the auth component.scss and in the input I will add MB5. Okay, I think this is good. Now we need to style the submit button as well. So let's do that. Button of type submit should have all of these classes. Background blue of 500 shade. On hover it should change the color. Shade and text should be white. Font should be bold. Vertical padding should be 2 and horizontal padding should be 4. Rounded corners, and let me remove this. Okay, now you can see the button has been styled and we can float it to the right. Let's remove it. Instead of that, I will manually move it to the right side. So by using a div here, and here I will add class flex items are justify and okay, great. So we have our form ready. Now let's integrate the reactive form into this form. So in order to use reactive form, we have to import a module that is reactive form module. Make sure to import it from the Angular/forms. All right. And now here, first of all, we will define our form in the login component.ts. The form, you can name it anything. Form is equal to, before using that, let me inject the form builder. That will make things easy for us. So FB is equal to inject. Make sure to import the inject function from Angular/core and pass it the form builder class, a service to inject it. Okay, once that is done, we will create a property with the name form. This .fb.group that will create a form group and assign to the form variable, and then we will pass the object to the group function, and in that object every property would be the field or form control for our form. So let's add email and password. So I kept empty string in this, that is a default value. We also need to add the validation. The second property here would be for the validation. So I will use validators dot required. That will make it required. Same for the password. Okay, save it. Okay, now let's link these controls with our input and form. So in the form, I will add form group directive. Make sure to wrap it in the square bracket because we want to reference a JavaScript variable that is defined in the login.component.ts. So pass the form to it and remove the action. We don't need it for now. Okay, and in the input, I can add form control name, and here we will pass the exactly same name that you have defined here. Okay, so copy the name of this form control, paste it here. In this way, this input has been linked with this field or form control. Same thing for the password as well. Add the form control name and here pass the password, and in the submit, here I will make it disabled by default if form is not valid. Okay, there is a valid property in the form group that we can use to check if form is valid or not. So if you now go to the browser and check, you will notice that the form is disabled because there is not cursor icon on it. But if you remove it, you will notice that it is now functional, but it should look like disabled if there is a disabled attribute on it. So for that, go back to the auth component.scss, and here I will further add a nested style here by using AND operator, and here I will use the attribute selector disabled. This is what I'm saying here. I'm saying that on the same element, the meaning of AND operator is that I'm talking about the same element. If there is a disabled attribute, then we have to apply that. Okay, so by the way, if you hover on that, it will show you all of the generated code that it will generate. So it is giving you the preview that how it is going to look like. So it will target this specific button. If there is a disabled attribute in this way, then it will apply it. Okay, there were some issues from the Angular. It was not compiling correctly and it was throwing errors. So I just stopped the server and started it again, and everything is fixed. So this is what we have so far. We have the disabled selector here that is adding the background color gray with cursor not allowed, and the button is now gray. That is great. Now I want to increase the padding around the card as well. So let's add the P8, and this is much better. Now go to the login component.ts. By the way, let's test the validation here, if you add something, the button would be enabled because now form is valid. But as soon as you make it invalid, it will immediately make the button disabled. Now I would like to validate the format of the email as well. For that, you can pass an array as well instead of a single validator, and in that array you can pass multiple validators as this is an array. So now I want to use the validators.email. So if you type something here and here, the button is still disabled because the email format is not valid. Let's fix it, and you can see immediately it has made the login button enabled. By the way, the validators class is coming from the Angular/forms, and it has a lot of it has several ready-made or pre-made validators that you can use. So, but in some cases, if you want some custom validation, then Angular allows you to create the custom validators as well instead of using the pre-made validators. But for now, in our case, these pre-made validators are sufficient for us. So let's keep using them. All right, we have the form ready that is fully validated. I just want to double check that what the value object looks like. So for that, here I will add the form value. I'm using the JSON pipe. I'm getting the error that no pipe with JSON found. The reason is that we have to import another module, common module, save it. With that, these basic pipes and things would be available. If you save it, you can see it will print the generated object from this form. So if you type something, it will show you the values in the real time. Okay, great. We should add some red border around this input when it is invalid. So for example, you touched this field but made it invalid, then it should immediately show a red border around it. So for that, there should be a class on it so that whenever it is invalid, that class should be added. So Angular automatically adds some classes on this input. So if you go to the inspect element here, you can notice that we have ng invalid and ng touched. So let me actually reload it for now and show you that specific input here without touching that input. So right now you can see that it has the ng invalid, but it was not touched yet. But as soon as you touch it, it will add the ng touched class immediately. So we can make use of these classes to add some indicator on this input that which specific input was invalid. So copy these two classes and go to the auth component.scss, and here within the input selector I can add AND operator, and here I will add these classes as both of these classes are will be added on the same element, so don't add the space. Okay, so here I am saying that apply the border red 500 only if there are these two classes all together on the input. Okay, save it. Now let's click on it and blur away, and you can see that a border has been added immediately. Same thing for the password as well. Okay, we can change the placeholder color as well by using AND operator and this specific syntax for targeting the placeholder. So now if you click on that, the placeholder and the border is red now, but text would be black. So as soon as you make it valid, it will fix the border color back to the normal. For that, let's add the correct email format, and you can see that now the red indicator has been removed. Okay, same for the password. Let's fix it. Great. So that's it for the form visualization. Now let's make it functional. So go to the login.component.ts. We need to implement the submit function. So let's define it. Here we are going to use the auth service to login. So go to the auth service, and here we need to inject the HTTP service. So name it HTTP is equal to use the inject function from the Angular/core and pass it the HTTP client class or service. Okay, now here I will define the login function, and this login function would be expecting username and password. Let's add the types for these two properties. Okay, now I will use return this .http .post method, and we will use the environment file. Make sure to import the environment from this path, and now use the environment variable that we would like to use, that is backend API URL. So this is the Node.js server URL that we already have added here in this file. Now let's concatenate our remaining segments of this endpoint, that is auth/login, and here we need to pass the data, that would be username and password. Okay, save it. Now go to the login.component.ts. Here we will have to inject the auth service here. So auth service is equal to inject. Make sure to pass the auth service and import the auth service from this path. Now let's use this .auth service and pass it the username and password. I'm getting this error that type string or null or undefined is not assignable to type string. Undefined is not assignable to type string. So to fix that, you can just add not operator here. That will tell TypeScript that we are dead sure that this value would be available. So don't worry about that. Save it. Okay, now we have to call this function on submit. So on the form tag here, I will register an event submit and call the submit function on that. All right, now let's test it. Go to the inspect element and go to the network tab and make sure to select the fetch from this drop down. Okay, by default it is on the all. So this is same on the Chrome as well, just UI might be a bit different, but in the network you will have an option to change it to the fetch type requests. So it will show you all of the requests that are of type fetch. Okay, now let's add something here and here as well. Hit the login button. Nothing happened. The reason is that we did not subscribe to it. So subscribe to it because it is returning us the observable. So here, actually there we also would like to handle the error as well. So for that you can pass an object here, and then we are able to pass two callback functions. One is for the success and second one for the error handling. Save it. And now let's add something here and here as well. Hit the login button. Okay, we got an error, and error is that cannot post on this, and if we look at the header, it is the 404 error. So that's mean the API path was not correct. So let's go back to the backend and go to the index.ts in the backend/src folder, and this part is correct, API/auth. So I think we have to add the /API here. That's why it was not working. Okay, now let's try it once again. Add some incorrect email and password. Hit the login button, and this time we got a different status, that is 400, and in the preview we got these errors, that is email is required, and we passed empty or undefined. So why it is happening? We passed the username instead of the email. So let's change it to the email here as well and here as well, and let's fix it on the login component. We are going to name it to the email as well. Now let's try it once more at gmail.com and our random password. Okay, this time we have an error that user not found. Okay, so now let's specify a correct user. So let me see the correct email address from this database. Go to the users table and we have the test at gmail.com. So let's try that and add the correct password. Actually, let's add incorrect password first and see the error. This time it is not saying that user not found, but it is saying that invalid password. But if I pass the correct password, hit the login button, this time there is no error, and instead it has returned me the correct response, that is access token, refresh token, and the user object. Okay, that is great. That is what we wanted to receive. Excellent. Now this is what I wanted to do here. When user has logged in successfully in the auth service, we should immediately take the response from here and we should save it in the local storage. Okay, so first of all, I am going to create an interface with the name session, and here we will have the access token, refresh token, and the user object, and user object is of type IUser. Make sure to import the IUser interface from this path. Okay, great. we can export this interface as well, so that if we want to use it somewhere else, it should be available outside of this file as well. Okay, here I can add the generic type of type session. Okay, so now in the response, we will get the suggestions from this interface. So I want to subscribe to this observable that is coming from this post function, and I want to share the same observable to the login component so that we both can subscribe to one single observable. So to do that, I will save it in a variable let ob is equal to this. So ob means observable, and here I will return the ob, and here I will use the pipe function, and here we can pass multiple pipes. For now I need only one pipe, that is share. Make sure to import the share function operator from the RxJS and call it like this. In this way, we are sharing this observable in multiple places. So for example, if I add ob.subscribe here, it will not hit the API twice. It will hit the API only once, and it will share the same response with this subscription as well as in this subscription as well. So this is the benefit. Now let's pass the object, handle the success callback function, and also handle the error in the error callback function. Here we have the error. I will simply show in the alert login failed, and in the next callback function we're getting the response. So now we can save the session in the local storage. So first of all, I will use this dot session. We did not define the session property yet, so let's do that. Session of type session. Okay, and make it optional like this, and here we will replace the value of session with the value that we got from the login response, and now we will save it in the local storage as well. For that, use local storage dot set item, and we are using the key session, and as we can store only JSON in the local storage, so I will use JSON dot stringify, or that will immediately convert the object into the string. Save it. Okay, now we will try to log in once again, and we will check the local storage to make sure that the session has been stored or not yet. So let's check. Here I will type testing@gmail.com, the password, hit the login button. I got the error, user not found. I think this was test@gmail.com. Okay, again we have the error. Let me check the email really quick. It is test@gmail.com. Okay, this time password was correct, and there is no error. This is the response. Now let's quickly check the local storage. Click on the storage area and click on the local storage, and you can see that session has been saved in the local storage. So this is the local storage. So you can see everything is saved in this value property. Now we should redirect user immediately to the public page. So here I will inject another service, that would be router is equal to inject router. Make sure to import the router service from the Angular/router like this, and here in the next callback function I will use this router navigate on the root path of our project. Now let's try it again, and here I will add test@gmail.com and the password. Okay, you can see that it took me to the home page immediately after signing in, but we still can see the login button here. But if you are logged in, then it should show the logout button here. So for that, we have to go to the header component.html for the public, and here in the TS, let me inject the auth service by using the auth service name is equal to inject. Make sure to import the inject function from Angular/core and pass the auth service, and make sure to import the auth service as well. Great. Now in the HTML, I can use the auth service. So for that, I can wrap it in the if condition like this. If auth service dot session, if that is available, let me fix this. This bracket should be here. Okay. If session was not found, then we should show the login button. Okay. Otherwise, use the else here. We should show the A tag with the message logout. Okay, you don't need to wrap it in the A tag, just keep the button. So here you can see we have the same styles to make it the button. So here I made a mistake. We should use the at operator like else in this way. Now this is correct syntax. Currently we don't have the logout function. So I added the click event here, and on click it should call the logout function. So let's define the logout function really quick. So go to the auth service, and here I will define the logout function, and this will reset the session variable that we have defined here, and it will remove the local storage, and also it would immediately take you to the auth/login path so that you can log in again. Okay. Now in the header.component.html, the error is gone. Before doing anything else, you can see that this piece of style, all of these classes are being repeated. That is not a good practice. So as this is a CTA kind of button, so I can cut it and use the CTA class, and same for this as well. And we will use this selector and go to the global area, that is styles.scss, and here I can add CTA selector and use the apply to apply all of the Tailwind CSS classes. And now you can see that the CTA is still functional. So this is the global area. So whatever you will add here would be accessible to all of the child components. You don't need to add the deep selector here or ng deep selector here. Okay, great. Now you would be thinking that we already have logged in, but login button is still visible. Why? So the reason is that when we are checking based on the session property that is defined in the auth service. So you can see that in the auth service, when this class is initialized, at that time the session property is undefined. So it was set when we clicked on the login button. When we got the response, at that time it updated the value of the session with the value we got from the response of the API call. But if you reload this page, it will again re-render the application on your browser from scratch, and at that time it will again consider the session value is equal to undefined, because at that time there was no value. The value would come only when you click on the login button. So that's why it was undefined, it did not consider us as logged in. So in order to fix that, whenever this component is initialized, we should check the local storage to check if there is a session there. If there is a session stored there, then we will immediately restore that session and save it in the session property. So let's do that. So here in the constructor, I will check. First of all, I will get the session from the local storage dot get item. Okay. And once we get it, we will check with the if condition. If there is a value in the session that is currently string, okay, we are checking if we got something, because if we did not save anything in the session in the local storage, then we will get undefined here. But if we found the session, then we will immediately parse that string JSON into the proper JSON object and save it in the session variable. So in this way, as soon as the service is initialized, it will immediately recover the session from the local storage and replace the value of the session with the value we got from the local storage. Okay. Now you will notice that logout button is visible. Before this code, it will never make the login button to the logout button. But if you add this piece of code, it will recover the session and it will show the logout button. Now let's hit the logout button to see if it is functional or not. You can see it took me to the login page, and if you go back to the home page, you will notice that logout button has gone because the session has been removed with the help of the logout button, and the value of the session variable is undefined again. Now even if you reload, it would not be recovered because the session is removed from the local storage as well. All right, let's try it again. Let me fix this path. This was API auth/login. Okay, click on the login button. Now we are on the login page, test@gmail.com, and the password is this. Okay, now our login feature is implemented, but now we need to implement the register feature as well. So in the login page here, I will add a button or link, that if you don't have an account, then click here to create a new account. Okay, so let's do that. Below go to the login component.html, and below the button, I will add a text. Don't have an account, then click on this button or link to create a new one. Okay, let me actually move this text outside of this div. I will create another div for that. Okay, and here I will add some Tailwind CSS classes, and the text color should be different. Also, router link is not working. The reason is that in the login component, we did not import the router module. So let's do that, router module. Okay, now it is working and you can see it is clickable. But the problem is that the text color is not blue. So let's fix that. By the way, this blue color that we are going to add is kind of brand color that we are trying to follow in our entire application. So instead of hard coding this color code every time, why don't we save it in a variable or global class? So let's do that. For that, go to the styles.scss, and here I can save my primary color. So in the Sass, we can create variables in this way. So this is a variable and I have saved my primary color here. Okay, now in order to use this variable or color in our Tailwind CSS, I have to create a CSS variable like this. Here I will add a root selector and then -- primary. This is a variable of CSS. Here I have specified this hash symbol, and because I'm going to add the color code. So I have used this Sass variable here in this way. You have to use the curly braces to get the value from a variable. Once that is done, we can use this CSS variable here in this way. Use var and pass the variable name that you are going to use. Okay, now do the same for this as well. So one mistake that I have done here, I should have added the hash symbol once again in this way. Okay, with that it will work. Okay, you can see it is working now. All right, so now we can use this CSS variable in our entire application. So let's search for this color code everywhere, and wherever we have hard coded that, we can replace that with this CSS variable. And by the way, this is redundant. You don't need to do this. You can just delete this Sass variable and just add the basic color in this way. Okay, great. Now I'm going to copy this code and we will use it wherever we have hard coded this code. So go to the public component.scss. Here I will use this. Same for the header.component.html for the logo. Instead of hard coding it here, I will just pass the variable. Okay, now this is more centralized approach. So you just have to change the color code from one place and it would be replaced everywhere. Okay, great. Now close it. And let's go back to the login page. I want to change the color of the link. So go to the auth component.scss, and here I can style the A tag and apply text dash, use the primary color that we just defined. Okay, now it is blue. Okay, if you click on that, it should take us to the register page. Currently, register page route is not defined yet. So go to the .routing, and here I will add another route object in this way. Path is equal to register and component should be a register component. Okay, make sure to import the register component from this path. Now if you click on the register, it will take you to the register page. Okay, now I will copy paste all of this code to use in the register page. So let's do that, because most of the code would be same almost. So if we go back to the user, we have the name, email and password. So only one additional field that we will have to add in the register page. So go to the register.component.html, paste the code, and here first of all we need to import the reactive form module. Also we need to import the router module so that we could add router link directive here to take us back to the login page. And also we need to add all of the functions that we created earlier in the login component.ts file. So I am going to copy paste everything from this file as well, and let's add it here. Let's add all of the missing imports. So in the VS Code, if you click on that, it will add all of the missing imports, but just double check that it has used the correct paths or not. For me, everything looks great. So here I will add an additional field that would be name, and name is required, and the default value would be empty string. And here I have to create another function, register, and here I will return this dot http dot post, and here I'm using environment.backend API URL plus API auth/register, and here we need to pass the data that will come from the parameters name, email, password, and let's define the types as well. Okay, here I will pass all of these three parameters, name, email, and password. Okay, and close this for now. And instead of using login function, I will use the register function, and here I will pass the name property as well. Great. Now go to the register.component.html and let's add the missing input field for the name as well. Form control name would be name here as well, and the type would be text. Placeholder would be full name. Okay, now if you go back to the browser, you will see this additional input for the name field, and instead of register, I would like to show the login button or link, and instead of don't have an account, I would show already have an account, then click here. Okay, it will take us back to the login page. All right, and once user has registered, we should take user back to the login page. All right, it's time to test the registration feature. So go to the inspect element to observe the network request. Here, let me type my name, test. Here I'm typing the correct email address so that I could verify the confirmation email from my Gmail as well. Click the login button. I got an error that is saying that password is too small. So we can add these validations in the Angular as well. So let's first do that before proceeding further. So go to the register.component.ts. Here I will add an array for the multiple validators. So here we have the functions in the validators class, minimum length and maximum length. So we did not specify any maximum length limit yet, but we have the minimum limit of 6. So let's add that, and we have to add this validation as well, where password must contain at least one uppercase letter and one lowercase letter. Okay, so for that we can add a custom validator. So we have the pattern function where you can pass the regular expression as well. So this is a regular expression that will make sure that the password is in this format. Okay, now let's try. I will add a name, an email address, and a password. Here, if you leave the password empty, it will show you that password is invalid, and if you add something here, it will still be invalid because the minimum length is 6. So let's add something. It is still in red because it did not follow this pattern yet. So let's try that. Okay, now it is following this pattern. That's why this password field is valid. But still, this can be improved further because at this time we are blind here. We don't know that what exact mistake we are doing here. Okay, so to do that, to fix that, we should display the error descriptions below every input. So for example, here we can display the error section separately like this. So here I can, in if condition, I can check if form.get name. So this will basically give me the form control for the name property, and I will check here if it is touched, and here I will check if it has errors property. It is saying that object is possibly null. To fix that, you can make it optional. And we are in this block of code, we are sure that there are errors and we want to display the errors. And here I will add further nested condition in this way. If form.getName has the error of type required, then we will show this specific error that name is required. So as the TypeScript is saying that property required comes from an indexed signature, so it must be accessed with this index format like this. Okay, to fix this error, I will just add the dot here that will fix it. Now I will copy paste this for every input, after every input. Like this. Here, instead of using the name, I will use the email control here as well. Here you can say email is required, and here I will handle the error for the invalid format as well. Like instead of this, I will use the because if the email format is invalid, so here if you look at this, we have two validators. One is for required and second one is for the email that will validate if the format is correct or not. So here you will use the correct name. So if error object has this property in it, that's mean this is a different kind of error, that is email is invalid. Now copy all of this code and go to the password section. After the input, I will paste it, and here instead of the email, we will use the password control. Okay, so here first one is same for all other inputs, but this would be a bit different. So for example, go to the register.component.ts and here we have the error with name required, and then we have the error with the name minimum length. Actually, let's display the errors before using this code. So here I will use this and pipe it through the JSON pipe. We're getting the error. We cannot use a JSON pipe because we did not import the common module here. So let's do that as well. Okay, great. Now here, when you will make this password field invalid, then it will immediately display all of the errors. We have the minimum length and we have the pattern type of error. So let's copy this, go to the HTML and uncomment this piece of code, and here we will use the error property minimum length. And now you can use these values, these properties to make your error message more dynamic. So like password must be at least, here you can use the form.getPassword.errors minimum length, and in the minimum length object we have the required length property. Okay, save it. Now if you make it invalid, you will get this message that password is required. Let me fix the first letter. Okay, now let's add something in the password. Now it has a different error message that password must be at least 6 characters. And now let's add another type of error that would be for this, and the name of this error would be pattern. And here I can display the relevant message that password must contain at least one uppercase letter, one lowercase letter, one number, and one special character. I think this is the correct text that we should display there instead of this. Okay, save it. Now I will remove this JSON text JSON from here because we don't need to see that JSON. But there is one problem, that there is too much gap between input and the error. So to fix that, go to the global area here, and in the input I will remove the margin bottom, and instead of that you can add margin top of 5. Oh, that is not good. So just remove the margin at all, and we need to add margin top above the label. So here add MD5. Okay, I think it is much better now, and error is now looking good. So let's produce some error. Now we have multiple errors here. Password must be at least 6 characters, and password must contain at least one uppercase letter, one lowercase letter, and one number. Okay, now this is more user friendly. Okay, now let's proceed to create our account, reload it. Actually, there is another problem. The text of the submit button should be register instead of the login. So let's fix that, register. And I would like to add some margin top, MT5. Okay, now it's looking good. Same thing should be in the login page. Here we did not add the margin top. So go to the login.component.html, and here I will add MT5. Add MT5 here for the login div, MT5, save it. Okay, now add the name, testing or whatever, and in the email I will specify my email, and in the password let's add a password. Now hit the register button. I can see a request here in the network and there is no error, and the account has been created. We have a status of pending and user has been created. If you go to the database client and reload the users table, you will see that this entry has been made. And now I should have received a confirmation email. Okay, I got the confirmation email. Please confirm your email. If you click on that, we have a link to confirm it. So let's click on that and see if that works or not. Okay, it is saying that email is confirmed, but this is not user friendly, because if email is confirmed, then it should redirect us to some page or login page on Angular. So we can modify our backend, because currently we are on the, if you look at the path, we are currently on the backend endpoint. So let's do that. Go back to the backend project and here search for the auth controllers and confirm email controller. Here we are simply displaying this message. Instead of doing that, we should redirect user to the Angular login page that is 4200. But it is not a good practice to hard code the URL, because when you will deploy it online, this URL would be different. So we should be saving this URL in a environment variable. So open the .env, and here I will specify the front-end base URL, that is localhost 4200. Save it. Now this path should be /auth/login, and let's take it from the environment variable process.env frontend URL and concatenate it with this string. Okay, all right. We already have returned the message to the client, so we should not do that. Just delete that line and hit the submit button again. We got the email. Let's confirm the email, and now you can see it took me back to the Angular login page. Also, another thing that I want to improve is that it should immediately redirect you back to the login page, because form would stay like this always, and user may click on the register button several times. So to avoid that, go to the register.component.ts, and here let me show another text message registered, and let's redirect user to the, I did not inject the router service yet, so let's do that first. Router is equal to inject and router module. It should be the router. Make sure to import the router from the Angular /router, and now we can use this to redirect this .router.navigate by URL and pass the login path to it, that is /auth/login. Save it. Okay, great. Now let's create an account once again and see if works correctly. Test and hit the register again. Okay, it took me to the login page. That's what I wanted to test, and I should have received an email once again. Click on that and confirm the email. Okay, now we can test our new account. Use the real email and hit the login button. Okay, this was correct. That's why I am on the home page. Okay, but we should handle the other error as well. Go log out, and here in the database I will mark it to the pending again and save it. Now if you try to log in, it should not allow you to log in, and let's see what error we get from the backend. We should display that error somehow to the user. So in the network, let me add correct username password. I got the error login failed, but the actual message was please confirm your email. So we should check if we have this kind of object in the error message. We should actually utilize it in the login component. I'm going to add it here in the error callback function. Paste this code, and now let's try it again. Okay, hit the login button. Now I got all of this data. Here we have the message property within that, so I can use that as well. If there is a message and if error.message is also available, then we can utilize that string to display the error. Okay, so here we can simply display the error in the alert. Okay, and in the login function I can simply remove this alert. Okay, because we are already showing the alert in the login component, so we should not display two alerts at the same time. So here let's add the email again. Okay, did not show any alert. I think we made a mistake somewhere. Actually, if we look at the object, the shape is different than we expected. There is an error property inside the error. Okay, so for example, let me show you here. I will add error like this. Let me copy the email. Okay, now save it and try it again. Okay, you can see now we have pure object that we wanted to have. So that's why it was not working earlier. So here I will use error property here as well, and here save it. Now let's try again. Okay, click on login. You can see it is now saying that please confirm your email. So we know that we have to confirm the email. So we just have to go to the email and confirm the email address. Now let me change this status back to the active so that I could log in. Save it, hit the login. Okay, now it allowed me to log in. Next, we need to implement the forgot password functionality. Okay, so for that, in the login component HTML here, I will add another div that will show a text that forgot your password, then click here. Okay, if we go to the auth folder, we have the forgot password component created already. We just have to create this route. So let's look at our link. So forgot your password, click on the reset, but before that go to the auth-routing module, and here I will register my component path, forgot password, and the component would be forgot password component. Great. Now hit the reset button. It will take you to this page. Here you are allowed to reset that password. It will take the email from you and it will send a reset password to your email address. So let's implement the forgot password component. Go to the forgot password component, and here first of all I need to import the router module and common module and a reactive form module, and here I will define a form property and assign it the form group by using this .fb.group. Let's inject the form group service and save it in the fb variable. Use the inject function. Make sure to import the inject function and the form builder service, and also we need to inject the auth service as well. Is equal to inject auth service. Save it. Great. Now in this form group I will define only one field, that would be email, and it will have two validators, email and required. Make sure to import the validator class from angular/form. Alright, now let's implement the submit function, and here we will hit this .auth service .forgot password function. We did not create yet, so we'll go to the auth service and define this missing function forgot password, and here I will get the email from parameter. Okay, now I will use this email and we will hit the this.http.post, and here I'm using the same path, and here the segment is forgot-password for the backend endpoint, and we have passed it the email, and we will simply return this observable. Okay, here I need to pass that email, this.form.value.email. Okay, now I will subscribe to it, and within that I need to pass the object that will have two callback functions, next and error. In the error callback function, I handled the error in the same way like we did earlier, and here we have displayed the log message in the console. Okay, now go to the HTML. Here we need to add the same layout or as we have in the login. Just copy it and paste it here, but this time we have only one input, that is email, and let me remove these lines for now. Okay, actually we need the submit button, so I will keep the submit button and remove all of other elements. Okay, instead of login I will change the text to send reset. Okay, now type an incorrect email here that does not exist in our database, and let's see what message we get from the network, from the backend. Okay, here it is saying that we have the error that is saying that callback URL is required. So instead of making that required, we can just remove it from the backend, and we can use our environment variable that we just created in the backend. Okay, so just go to the auth controller in the backend project, and in the forgot password I will remove the dependency of the callback URL, and here go to the send forgot password email, and here instead of using this I will get it from the process.env.front front-end URL and concatenate it with the route. So this route should be available in the Angular side, auth/reset password. Okay, so let's actually remove this parameter as well because we don't need it. Now let's define this endpoint in our auth-routing.module that is in Angular project. So after the forgot password we need another path with the name reset password, and the component would be reset password that is already created. We just have to import this component. Okay, great. Now let's try it again. I think everything is good now. Let's add a fake email and hit the reset button. It is saying user not found, so that is working correctly. Now let's add a user that exists. So here I will hit the reset button. Okay, this time there is no error and it is saying that email was sent. So go to the Gmail and let's see if we got the email. Yes, I received an email that is saying reset your password. If you click on that, click on the link to reset your password, it will take you to the Angular page, and it has used the reset password route that we just created. Currently it is not implemented yet, that's why we have the default text reset password works. Also you will notice in the URL we have the token received, so we will be using this token when we will try to reset the password. So go to the reset passwords, but before that, let's copy the code from the forgot password.component.html because we want to use the same format. Actually, let me copy the HTML from the register component because it has all of the implementation for showing the customized and specific error messages about the password. So it would be very helpful to guide user that which kind of error or mistake they are making while creating a new password. So go to the reset password component, paste this code here, and in the reset password.component.ts, I will add all of the missing import that is common module and router module, and third one was reactive forms module. And now here we need to get the token from the query string variable as well. So token by default it is empty, and in the constructor I need to get it from the activated route. So we have to inject the activated route service. Route is equal to inject. Make sure to import the inject function, and activated route should also be imported from the angular/router. Now here we will use the activated route to get the query parameter. So we have the query params that will give us access to all of the query parameters in the URL, and we are subscribing to it. So whenever query parameter is updated, this function would be executed and we will get the params, and we want to access the token from the query string parameter that will update the token value here. Okay, now let's inject the form builder is equal to inject form builder. Make sure to import the form builder service from angular/forms, and now let's create a property. Form is equal to this.fb.group, and within that I will pass all of the fields that we need to add. One is password and second one is the confirm password. Then we need a submit function. Before that I need to inject another service, that is auth service is equal to inject auth service. Make sure to import the auth service as well from this path, and now let's prepare our submit function. So in this I need to use this .auth service .reset password. This function is not defined yet, so let's go ahead and implement this function. Go to the auth service and let's define this missing function. We will be getting the token and password from the parameter, and then we will use the post method and hit this endpoint reset password from our backend, and we are passing the token and password. Okay, and we will get back the response and return that observable back where we are calling this function. Now close this file, and here I will pass the this.token. So we have to pass an object here. First we need to pass the token from this.token, and then we need to pass the password that will be available from this.form.value.password. Okay, now we need to subscribe to it and pass it an object to handle both values, success and error. In the error callback function, I'm handling the error in the same way like we did earlier. And in the next, we are just displaying the log in the console. We can also immediately redirect user back to the login page by using this router.navigate. We did not inject the router service yet, so let's do that. Router is equal to inject router module, and now we can navigate this router.navigate. Actually, I was doing this mistake here that I was injecting the router module, but we should have injected the router service, not module. Okay, now everything should be fixed. Okay, there is no error anymore. All right. Next thing is that go to the HTML. I would like to remove all of the fields that we don't need. We don't need the email and the name. We just need the password and the confirm password. Okay, so this is the password field. Now let me copy paste this section another time, but this time it is for the confirm password. And here make sure to use the same name that you have added here in this form group and paste it here in the form control name, and here as well. Here in the placeholder you can add confirm password text and make sure to replace it everywhere else. I'm using Command D that will select all of the text wherever it is specified, and I will press Command V and it will be replaced everywhere. Okay, now here I would like to use the proper text confirm password with proper white space, and here as well, and it will save it. Now in the reset password.ts we did not add any validation, so let's do that. Here first of all we need the validator. Validators start required, make sure to import the validators class and validators.minimum length, and same thing for the confirm password as well. But here we need another validator that is not available out of the box. We may have to create a custom validator for that. Let's do that. Match password, and we will be getting the form as the parameter, form group. And now, so here we will get the password from the form.get password.value. That will give us the password, and here we are getting the confirm password. Now we need to compare these. We are checking if password and confirm password is same, then there is no error, so just return null. But if there is an error, then we will return an object mismatch true. Okay, now we need to display a specific error message with this property name. So copy this mismatch true, and here in the HTML I will add another section with if block, that if errors dot not match is true. Actually make sure that this name is exactly same as you have specified here, otherwise it will not work. Okay, so I have pasted it here. Now if this is true, then we will display the message password do not match. Okay, great. I left this character here, we should not add it. Let me remove it. This one, actually it is here as well, remove it. We created this custom validator, but we did not use it here, so make sure to pass this custom validator. Okay, I have passed this keyword as the context for this function, so that if we use this somewhere, then it should work. But I think we don't need it yet because we are not using this keyword anywhere, so it's fine. I made some mistakes here. So here we should return a callback function like this. Okay, now paste the code into that callback function, and here we will not be getting any parameter from the match password, and here the return type would be this validator function. Make sure to import this from Angular/forms like this. Okay, now we will be getting the control here, control, and give it the type abstract control. Make sure to import the abstract control from this Angular/form, and instead of getting the password from form, we will be using control.get password and control.get confirm password. Okay, now our custom validator is completed. So let's copy this name. Instead of passing it here, I will, in this main object, I will pass a second parameter that where I passed an object where we will have another property validators. So here I will add a property validators and pass it this dot match password. By the way, here I should have added this function outside of this class. So let's do that. Here I add a function keyword and save our match password custom validator. And here we can just reference to that function in this way. Okay, everything is good, I guess. Okay, in reset password.component.ts, everything is fine so far now. But in the HTML, we have to add another fix. So as we have registered this custom validator in the main form group instead of a specific form control, so we have to access the errors from the form instead of a specific form control. We should remove this part. Okay, so we are checking if there a mismatch as text. So let's try that again. Okay, now it should work. So let's try it. Okay, we have the password do not match error. Okay, it is not working because this is in the nested if condition, and this condition will be true only if there is error in the confirm password control, but this error is outside of that control, so that's why we should not keep it in the nested if condition. We should put it outside of that main if condition. Now it should work fine. Let me show you. You can see as soon as the password is not matching, then it will show the error. If you make it same, then error will be okay. Now one last thing, that instead of register button, we should say it reset password, and here, or maybe you should call it update password. Okay, now let's try it again. Just to double check, I will open the inspect element just to monitor the errors if we get any from the backend. So here okay, the update password button, and it took me to the login page, and in the reset password there is no error, and it is saying that password was updated. Now let me try that new password just to see if that was updated or not, and here I will pass that password, the login button. Okay, that worked. That's mean the update password worked correctly. All right, we have completed all of these auth components: forgot password, login, register, and reset password. Now only remaining thing for this lecture is that we have to protect this comments form. So user is allowed to create a comment only if he is logged in, otherwise we will show a message. Okay, so for that, go to the post detail component.html, and here we should hide this form. I will use if condition here, and before using the if condition, we have to inject the auth service here in the post detail.component.ts, add auth service variable and inject the auth service. Make sure to add the import statement for the auth service. Okay, now in the post detail.component.html, in the if condition, I will use auth. Actually, make sure to add the add character here, and now add auth service dot session. Okay, if there is a value in the session variable, then it will display this form, otherwise it will, as user is already logged in, that's why it is visible. Let me log out and see it protects that form or not. Okay, now form is not visible, but instead of that we should display a different message at else, and here I will add a different text. I have a div with text center and margin bottom 10 with a login button that will take us to the /auth/login. It is saying that login to post a comment. Okay, so if you click on that, it will take you to the login page. Now let's log in. Okay, now let's go to the post detail page. Now comment form is visible because I am logged in. And now we have to make this comment form functional. So let's do that. So in the post detail.component.ts, we have to add a form group, create a field, create a property form is equal to, we have to inject the form builder as well. FB is equal to inject form builder service, and we have to import the reactive form module as well because we are going to use it. Here I will add this .fb.group and pass it all of the fields that we want to use. For now we have only one field, that is comment, and we should use it after the FB is created. Okay, now in the post detail component, by the way, we should keep this button inside this if condition. Okay, great. Now we should wrap everything in the form tag like this, and here I will add a form group directive and pass it the form group that we just created. And now we have to link this text area with the control that we created in that form group. The form control name should be equal to the content. Let me make sure if this should be comment. Actually, let me look at the comments table. What we have there, we have the content. So let's keep using the word content here and here as. Okay, and this button should be of type submit. Okay, by the way, here we are using the blue. We should be using the same brand blue color that we created earlier. So here let's replace it with var -- primary. Make sure this is exactly same here as well. Okay, I will copy paste this code, this class here as well. Now we are using exactly same blue color that we have defined for our brand color. Okay, all right. Now here we have to register the click submit event, and on submit we should submit the comment. Okay, let's define this function in our post detail.component.ts, and here I will use this .comment service .create comment. We have to define this function first because this is not available yet. So in the comment service, I have created a function with parameter comment and the post ID. Now we will return this .http client.get, and it will be returning us the response of type I comment, and I have used the base URL /post ID. Let me double check the exact path of this route in the backend project. So open the comment routes. Here to create a comment, we have to use the post method, and in the controller we are depending on the post ID and the content. So let's make that change. Here we are already using the comments. We don't need to pass the post ID in the URL like this. Just remove it. We just have to pass the comment and post ID in this way. By the way, this should be the post method like this. Okay, great. Now it should work. But we should be as create comment is depending on the user ID. So we should send the user ID, but not directly. We should be sending the session access token, and our backend would be able to figure that out, that which user is creating that comment. So for that, here I will pass another argument to pass the headers, and in this headers I will pass the authorization barrier, and here we should use the session from the this dot auth service. So make sure to inject the auth service as well here. Auth service is equal to auth service is equal to inject and pass it the auth service. Make sure to add the import statement for the auth service. Okay, we have the auth service. Now we can use it. This dot auth service dot session and dot access token. Okay, so we are now using the access token from the session and passing it. So whenever we will send a request to create a comment, this token would be added in the header automatically. And now let's go to the backend to retrieve this token from the headers. So go to the comment controller.ts in the backend, and in the add controller here we need to access the token as well. Okay, so go to the comment.controller.ts. Here we need to access the user that was attached with our request with the help of the middleware, because we need the user ID. Currently we're hard coding it. We should use the real user ID that is creating the user, so that is creating the post. So let me just help you to recall that what we have done. Go to the comment.routes. Here we have added the authenticate JWT middleware. Open that, and here you will see if everything is fine, token was verified, then we will get the user by user ID that we got from the verified token. And now once we got the user, we will attach that user with the user property on the request, and we call the next function. That's mean whenever the request will reach to our main controller function, at that time in the request property we will have the user already. We can blindly trust that there is a user object here, so we can use this. So here I can and user any. Okay, I have just extended. Actually it should be on the request, not on the response in this. Now I'm basically extending the request interface, and this will allow us to use the user property on the request. So here I can very easily use request dot user dot get. Actually, as we know that, let me take you to the middleware. As we are using attaching the user model to it, so we know that this is a user model. So here instead of using any, I can use user model here as a type, and here I can now use request dot user dot get ID. It will give me the ID. I will save it in the user ID. Let me remove this comment now. Save it. Okay. Now actually it is throwing me error because we have overridden the request parameters. That's why it is happening. So we can just remove it for now, and here you can just use as any. Okay, or if you really want to use the user model type, then you can create a variable const user of user model is equal to request dot uk, and here you can simply now use that variable directly user in this. Okay, now there is no error here as all right. Now it is time to test. So open the inspect element and go to the network tab. Here I will type hi and hit the submit button. Nothing happened, I guess. See what's going on there. Go to the post detail.component.ts. We have the submit comment, but we did not call that create comment function. We have to pass the comment by using this dot form dot value dot content, and we have to pass the post ID that is available on the post object. And here I will use not operator to tell the TypeScript that we are sure that there is a value that we are passing you. It is not an end. Here I'm using the subscribe to subscribe to the observable, and here we will pass the callback function. In that callback function I am getting the response, and let's check if response is true. Actually here instead of using this I will pass an object so that I could handle the error as well. So here I have used the same approach to handle the error that will show the alert message, and in the next I basically called the load comments and call the reset function on the form. So basically as soon as the comment was inserted, it will call the load comments, and it will once again hit the backend to get the latest array of the comments, and it will replace the old array with the new array in the comments variable. And after that we are resetting the form to make the input empty again. So let's try it, save it, and hi. Currently you can see there is no comment here with that text the post, and I got an error. Go to that network request. Here we can see that content is required. We are not sending the content. Go to the Okay, we are basically sending the comment, not the content. That's why it is happening. So go to the create comment function, and here it should be content, not the comment. Save it. Now it should work. So here we have I hit the submit button, and this time there is no error, and immediately that new comment is visible here. But there is one problem, that is it should show the latest comment first, not at the end. So for that, go to the backend comment service, and here we have get post comment. Here we should add the order statement. Here we have order property. Here you can pass an array, and the first element would be another array, and here in that array, first value would be the field that you want to order. And here we have specified the direction, that is descending. Save it. Now if you reload it, it did not restart yet, so reload it again. Okay, now you can see that the latest comment is showing first and old comment is showing after that. Let's try again. How are you? Hit the post comment. Okay, you can see everything is working perfectly fine. But as soon as you click on the logout, you will lose access to create the comment. But now I can see another problem here. I made a mistake somewhere, that's why there's a background color. Let's fix that. Go to the post detail.component.html, and here we should not use the bg, we should use the text txt. Okay, now it is text. All right, I think that's all I wanted to cover in this video. In the next lecture, I would try to implement more interesting things, like we will protect our sensitive routes. Currently, our routes are not protected. For example, I am on the login. I am not logged in yet. So here, if you type /admin, it will allow you to access the admin URL. But that should not be possible if you are not logged in. We should protect such sensitive routes. So we should be able to access those routes only if you are logged in. So we will implement that feature by using the auth guard, and also we will be implementing the interceptors, so that whenever you send a request to the backend, it will automatically get the token from the local storage, and it will attach the token with the every HTTP request automatically behind the scene. So for example, in the comment service in the front end, you will notice that we manually added the header section and we manually attached the token. So if you are doing for only one time, then it is fine. But if you are going to perform such operations several times in several places, then you might have to type this code every time. So in that way, there are a lot of duplication of the code that should not be there. We should not be duplicating the code. We should be reusing so because in other way, it would be difficult to maintain the code in the long run. If you have to make some change in your logic, then you have to update it everywhere, because you are duplicating the code, you are rewriting the same thing again and again. So if you have moved this piece of logic in a central place like interceptors, then we will add this logic only once and it would be implemented for every HTTP request. So this is better centralized approach that we should be doing. So all right, I think that's all for now. Thanks for watching this lecture.